All right. Excuse me. I think we're live. So everybody, I'm Dan with HardlyBrief Dev. I'm gonna be continuing working on my side project I'm calling Northshire, just a project where I'm trying to recreate part of World of Warcraft inside Unreal Engine and working on the various subsystems and learning about multiplayer and replication. If you want to learn more, kind of about what I'm doing, what I'm working on, I'll post this link here. Can check it out. But basically today, I want to work on two things. And I probably should update this because this is what we'll actually be doing today. We're going to be working on our auto attack ability, and I want to work on a chat system that is absolutely not needed, but sounded fun to design. So those are the two things I want to work on today. What I figured I would do is kind of talk through the designs that I have for both of those systems, and then we'll jump in and we'll start working on the auto attack for a little bit, and then depending on how I'm feeling, I might jump and start doing a little bit of the chat system that I came up with, and I might do that first just to kind of get started, and then jump into the actual gameplay ability. But we'll see how that goes first. So let's talk about the auto attack ability and then what I want to do for the chat system. So I'll show some design stuff down here. My thought on the auto attack is currently I'm using the gameplay ability system. And as part of the gameplay ability system, I created a custom gameplay ability. So we'll just call this custom gameplay ability. This custom gameplay ability inherits or implements from the gameplay ability system gameplay ability. So we'll go ahead and show that. So we'll say gameplay ability. And then I created a custom one. The custom one just has a bunch of data that's like the name, description, some very specific things that I want, like cost, cast time, stuff that I think most abilities have. And now what I want to do is create another implementation of my custom gameplay ability. So I'm going to create a little bit deeper inheritance tree, which I don't think will be too bad. But we're going to create a toggleable, very hard to say, a on and off type ability. So we're going to say toggleable ability. And this guy is going to be responsible for things like stance changes. So if I'm a warrior and I go into my defensive stance or berserker stance, I'm a druid and I transform into my wolf, a tree state or some sort of state like that. And then the last one we would have is like the shaman. You can think where they transform into their spirit wolf. So the idea behind a toggleable ability is that it has on and off, and it maintains its state per instance. Is it per instance? It maintains its state per actor is what we want to do. And so it will actually hold some state. So like some information that this thing is going to have is, and I'll change this. It's going to have a is on like toggle, which would just be a Boolean. And this is my thought right now. It has the is toggle, it's going to be Boolean, and in the on activated function of this ability is when we can check to see that toggle function. It will check is toggled, and we should have create two functions that will be basically toggle on and toggle off. So like this would be the core way our toggleable abilities will be created. Then we're going to use this type of ability and we're going to create a custom ability that's going to be our auto attack. So from this, we'll create a auto attack. And the way I was thinking about how I wanted to do this, originally I created an auto attack. I don't know if it works. Probably doesn't work right now. The original way I was creating a auto attack was through a timer. Yeah, it's not actually working. We need to redo it. I do actually want to show y'all something. I did get the Hearthstone to work. So here I'm playing around. I have the other client up here. So if I actually move around, if I open my bag, I can actually use my Hearthstone ability. And you can see I teleported over here, and I can actually see over there, but my player actually teleported. That's pretty cool. But besides that, what I want to do is work on the auto attack. So the original implementation of the auto attack was I clicked the ability, and it kept an internal timer going, and that internal timer, and basically that timer was set to tick on your weapon speed, and that's good and all, but it was really restrictive. And truthfully, and let me turn down this music just a little bit. Truthfully, the gameplay ability should execute in 1 frame, and so the way I was handling this timer and keeping the auto attack alive for that long was not, I don't think, a really good idea, especially now that I'm focused on trying to do some replication and add in some more specific type of multiplayer, right? Like the timer inside it would just create a lot of problems. So with our auto attack ability, I do want our auto attack ability to inherit from our toggleable ability. What I would like it to do is we're going to create a couple things. We're going to have a weapon speed attribute. And this attribute is going to be responsible for setting for how often we do an auto attack. When we toggle on, and maybe let's do the 2 events. So we'll have a toggle on and toggle off. These are going to be our major events for our ability. When we toggle on, what we'd like to do is apply a gameplay effect. So I'm going to set my events. We'll call these a major event. Right? What I want to do is when I toggle on my ability, we want to create a gameplay effect that is has a duration of infinite. Infinite, right? And what this gameplay effect will do is it can it can have a duration of infinite, but it can have a period of our weapon speed. And every time on that period, what it can do is we can use an event to actually launch a attack called auto attack. Will just be our actual implementation. So we'll create a custom gameplay effect. It'll have a duration of infinite, and it will have a period based on our weapon speed attribute. And what that will do, let's keep this here. On tick, this is our gameplay effect period. We'll launch a gameplay event or with a gameplay tag. That gameplay tag will be our auto attack gameplay tag. And so we'll have an auto attack. Basically, we're going to create a auto attack gameplay event. This gameplay event will trigger the auto attack ability, which this this auto attack ability is different than this one. So this is like auto attack toggleable. This turns it on. We'll apply a gameplay effect that has a duration of infinite. It'll apply a gameplay tag to our character. And what we'll do is on the period, which is our weapon speed attribute, every time that period ticks, we'll launch an auto attack gameplay event. This will call a actual custom gameplay ability called auto attack, and that will perform the animation and apply the damage and do that sort of thing. So toggle off, what we'll do here is we're just going to remove gameplay effect. and this will stop this from occurring. So the couple things that we need to do then to do this are: one, implement this toggleable ability. We need to add a weapon speed attribute, and we might just call this attack speed, maybe like base attack speed. We'll think about that. We need to create this tag. So we need a gameplay tag that will handle our auto attack. Let's find, I can type in here, gameplay event tag. And then we'll need a custom implementation for this auto attack, which we already have a animation. So if I go back into Unreal, let's change this to one client and we'll set it on standalone. If I press play at that point, I run over here and I get my target. If I press auto attack, we have an animation and we have some damage happening. So we already have some of the basics of what we need to do. So we can kind of use this ability and add on to it. So that's the first thing, or one thing I wanted to look at. So we'll probably work on this part today and start looking at the duration and gameplay tags. The other thing I wanted to do, and maybe we'll just start this and then we'll talk about the chat system. But let's do a header text. This is going to be our auto attack. Design. And then I'll do another one down here that is our chat system, which I know seems ridiculous because we don't really have any players yet, but it sounded interesting to build and design. So on my plane ride this week, coming back from work, I designed it. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do then is we're going to build this toggleable ability. So let's go into Writer. Let me close a bunch of this stuff up. We don't need it all open right now. This is for the asset and item system that we worked on. So what I'd like to do is inside my abilities folder for gas, I have a gameplay ability. So we have a custom gameplay ability. Lots of stuff going on in here that we're going to have to work on and override and just kind of flesh out. But what I'd like to do is inside here is create a new gameplay ability. This is going to be our NS, which stands for Northshire toggleable ability. We're going to click all classes. We're going to look for NS gameplay ability. We'll click create. And now we created a custom implementation of this class and we can extend it how we want. So here I'm going to say public. We'll do a U property. Let's see. Edit, defaults, probably blueprint read. We'll do blueprint read write for now, and we will say bool is toggled, and we'll set it to false. The couple things that we're going to want to do is we want to check our activate ability because that's where we want to toggle on and off. So what I'd like to do is create a protected section. So if we want to inherit this or extend this class again in the future, we can, but we'll say protected U function. Actually, we don't need that, but we'll say void toggle ability on. And we'll do a void toggle ability off. And I'll go ahead and I'm hitting Alt Enter to just open these up here. And then we want to look at, again, the activate ability and maybe end ability. But for now, we'll just do, we're in the public section. Let me make this file a little bit more organized. So we'll say virtual activate. Why did it do that? There we go. So go back here. We'll open this implementation up. So currently in our activate ability, we're checking to see if our ability requires a target. And then we check to see if the target's in range. We can check to see if the target is in front, and we can also check to see if we have line of sight. So there's a bunch of checks that we can do in here. If all that's true, then we'll go ahead and activate the ability. I added some logic in here for does something interrupt an auto attack. The thought behind this was I can cast a spell, but I can cast a spell, but that doesn't automatically stop my auto attack. So if I and so I wanted to explicitly call that out or allow for some spells or abilities to cancel the auto attack action and some to not. I don't know if I actually need that, but for now it's kind of what I have, and I'll just kind of go with it. But inside our activate ability on our new toggleable ability, the first thing that we want to do is check to see if we're toggled on or off, and what that means. So I think what I want to do is when we activate it, we'll do our super checks first. And then below we'll say if is toggled is true, then we will, a little bit delayed, then we will toggle ability off. Else we'll just toggle ability on. Pretty simple. And the first thing that we probably want to do is when we toggle ability on, we probably want to set is toggle to true. And when we toggle ability off, we probably want to set it to false. So now what do we want to do? Well, my thought is I actually want to do some of this inside blueprints. So what we can do is inside our toggleable ability, I think if we move these to our pub, I want these protected. We're going to create a U function, blueprints native event. No, it's blueprints implementable event. This is what we want to do. Okay. So this will allow me to add some implementation in here. So inside our toggle on ability, we're just going to go ahead and call on toggle on ability. This will allow me to actually add some custom implementation details inside blueprints. Because again, we want to expose what we're doing as much as we can to blueprints. Blueprints is such a great, easy way to like build stuff. So what we can do is say at its core, we're going to want to toggle on and off, but then we can add some more implementation details. We could just make these public and make them implementable and have a custom C++ implementation. And then inside blueprints, we have to call the parent But I think we'll just do this right now. Let me restart. And we'll go ahead and create the toggleable auto attack ability. And in blueprints, we can kind of lay out some of the stuff that we want to do. The cool thing with Gas is once you have a framework of how to create abilities and the different types, the idea is that you shouldn't have to go back to C++ unless you need to do some real custom implementation. It should be set up so designers and whoever can actually just work inside the editor. And that's kind of the goal. That's where we want to be at. So once this loads, we'll check out the ability. And I already have a auto attack ability, but we're gonna have to change it because obviously it doesn't work as we want. So let's go to content, Northshire, Gas abilities. We have a gameplay ability auto attack. It looks like here. Yeah, so we'll probably have to delete some of this stuff. So in blueprints, we're going to look for that gameplay ability, and we're looking for the toggle one. Let me do NS. Here we go. We'll say NS underscore toggle auto attack. All right. So here, inside toggle attack, you can see all my ability data, which I said before, this is inherited from the gameplay ability. So what is our ability name? What's its icon? All that stuff. And then you can see now our NS toggleable ability, we have it is toggled. And if I go to functions, you can see on ability on and off. And I can actually add the functionality in here, which is cool. So I can have when we toggle on our ability and when we toggle off our ability, which again is crucial. And we know when this happens, we're going to set our is toggle on to true. So what did I say before? When we toggle on our ability, we want to create a gameplay effect that has a duration of infinite, and then a period of that is based on our weapon speed or attack speed. So we currently do not have a gameplay effect for that. So we'll go to gas, abilities, auto attack. I'm going to do it in here. I'm going to go to blueprint class. And it's been a bit, so we're for gameplay effect. And we'll say GE auto attack. We'll keep it auto attack. Okay, let's open it up. And now we can see that it has a duration policy. So these are all things that are built into gas. So if you've never used gas, these are the things that are available to you. Gameplay effects are where you apply damage, where you can do dots, right? So something over time. You can apply instant damage or heals. You can do custom calculations. There's a bunch of things that you can do in here. And this is kind of how you build out your custom spells and stuff. So I said a duration policy, we want it to be of infinite. And then the period, we actually want this to be set based on a weapon speed attribute. Was my goal, and I'm curious if I can do that. Okay. So inside our toggleable attack, let me go ahead and open up this firebolt ability. It's not that. This one. Maybe it isn't that projectile. Where am I at? All right. So we want to apply this gameplay effect to our the owning actor or the owning ability system. I think it's like get owner, get owning actor from actor info. This is going to give us our player state because our ability system is attached to our player state. And then we want to apply gameplay effect. So not, that's gameplay effect. Oh, we want to get our ability system component. We can check to see if this is valid. Probably safe. So we'll say is valid. And we could probably also do it there. This is one thing I'm always concerned about is like how often should I be checking if things are valid or not. But we'll go ahead and check to make sure the ability system component is valid. If it is valid, we want to apply a gameplay effect to self. And I think we eventually want to do... Here we can find our auto attack effect. And then... I think we eventually want to... We want to apply a gameplay effect spec, I think. I'm thinking through this. Because then we can customize the period, I believe. Like this is a spec handle. Well, let's see. So we're going to apply the gameplay effect, which is our auto attack, to ourself, which is then going to create a duration of nothing. I don't think inside this event graph that we should be doing much. Like I don't generally think you should be. It all should be handled over here through our components and modifiers, that sort of thing. So I need to figure out how we can actually set our period, and I thought that would be through a spec. So I need to, let's see, effect context. So not exactly. Oh, it's like I could do this and say attack speed, float, expose it. I don't think this is correct. Something we can override, like on activate. That period. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure we don't really create functions. Um, yeah, it doesn't do anything. Kind of what I thought. So how can we adjust the period of our class? Kind of what we want to do. Let's see. Apply additional effects. Well, okay. And so I think what we have to do here is like on period, this component will run. So I think on period, it's going to check components, modifiers, and executions. We can apply this. Tags require remove other tags. Abilities to grant the target while the gameplay effect is. So it makes sense. When it's active, we'll grant them the ability to auto attack, but we want it to execute on period, which I guess is a modifier. Um, Policy for duration effect. Let's go ahead and do a little reading. Just looking at the gas documentation that's on GitHub. And our vessels with abilities to change attributes and gameplay tags on them. Pause immediate attribute changes. Gameplay flag class is meant to be data only that defines a single gameplay. No additional logic should be added. Typically, designers will create many blueprint child classes of gameplay. For temporary changes to attributes current value, I'm using an infinite one where temporary changes current value apply. This will be removed when it's removed. This is kind of what we want to do. Every X seconds is defined by its period. Yep. Periodic or instant gameplay effects when it comes to changing the attribute's base value and executing gameplay cues. That's what we want to execute a gameplay cue. So I think I need to build that out. Executions every X seconds is defined by its period. Periodic effects are treated as instant gameplay effects. When it comes to changing the attribute's base value and executing gameplay cues, these are useful for damage over time effects. Note periodic effects cannot be predicted. Duration and infinite gameplay effects can temporarily be turned off. So I execute to apply gameplay effects outside of gameplay ability, for example, from unique. Okay, that. You can listen for when any duration if applied, bind to a delegate. The server will always call this function replication mode. Okay. Modifiers change an attribute. Okay. Go into the different modifiers. Gameplay tags on modifiers. Stacking gameplay effects. Oh, okay. So we can grant. Right? Level gameplay effect. The duration. The period for period effects defaults to the period of the game. Current stack count of the gameplay off spec. Yeah, so I want to do a set by color of the period. I don't know if I can do that in blue. I assumed I could do that, but Okay, the gameplay effect context. Structure holds information about a gameplay effect spec instigator, target data. It's also a good structure to subclass to pass arbitrary data around between like attribute sets, gameplay. Okay. Subclass of gameplay effects. We can override it. Cool. Um, Gas shooter uses subclass gameplay context to add target data, which can be accessed and used specifically for the shotgun since it is more than one enemy. So right now we have execution. I think this is what we would do. So gameplay cues. Here we go. Used to trigger non-simulated reactions in response to gameplay effects. I wonder if it's bad to try to use a gameplay cue to, yeah, it's going to adjust it. Maybe. So my thought was auto attack gameplay. Oh, so I think what we can do is inside gameplay queue. The ability auto attack queue. We'll set it here. Oh, that's frustrating. You just put it into. Uh, Here we go. Okay. So now I can select the one that we want. And I think we don't stack. So I'm curious if we do this and then we say wait for events. There's a bunch of these tasks. This is what I was thinking. So we could wait for a gameplay event. But the gameplay queue isn't actually producing a game. I don't think so. What I want it to do, but it doesn't seem like this is gonna work how I want it. I think gameplay cues. This is more so, yeah, not the place I probably want to do, but I don't want to just apply gameplay. Yeah, I'm thinking I have to create my own type of execution. See? Array of executions that will affect the target on this. So like, I could create a custom execution that says do this event. But I feel like on period, and it would just be like a custom execution that fires a gameplay event. But that way, then I can figure out kind of exactly what I want to do. I'm wondering if this is just not the right answer. I feel like I'm doing too many things that aren't valid. Like I'm trying to force too many things um into something it shouldn't do. So basically the gameplay effect should only do this. It seems like I can't really change the period too much. Um okay, let's look at gameplay. We trigger gameplay cues by sending corresponding gameplay tag with a mandatory parent name of game and an event type. Execute, add, or remove. Okay. Gameplay cue notify objects the other actors gameplay interface can subscribe to these events. Yeah, I could do that. The, so we could use gameplay queue. We'd have to listen for the specific tag on our character to then do a specific thing, like use gameplay ability. Um, Wonder though if that's specifically really telling us the gameplay cues should not be, or they're non execute non gameplay related things. Doing abilities, that's not the right thing. So I feel like it's an execution class. Um, would be the right spot for it. Um, I'm really trying to think out what I should do. Hmm. I think I probably just need to do a little bit more research on. I thought maybe I could do some period here to do play event. Maybe let's look. Um. Yeah, so we can do custom gameplay effect execution calculations, but generally those are done for like doing like a damage calculation. So there's gameplay effect components to find how a gameplay effect behaves. So this seems like maybe we create a custom gameplay effect component. Which I'm kind of curious. Gameplay effect components determine how a gameplay effect behaves. Gameplay effects can alter gameplay tags of the actor or remove others. You can create your own game-specific gameplay effect components, which help extend the usability game. Instead of providing a larger API for all desired functionality, The implementer of the gameplay effect component must read the gameplay effect flow carefully and register any desired callbacks to achieve the desired. This limits implementation. C++. They live within a gameplay effect, a data-only blueprint asset. Therefore, gameplay effects only one gameplay effect component exists for all applied. So in C++, I kind of want to look at. I want to look at a gameplay effect. Gameplay. Let's do gameplay effect. Hate the name, but let's just check it out. I kind of want to see what we can do. So let's go to this. We'll go to its declaration and we'll check. So grants additional gameplay abilities to target while active. Oh, this is I meant to do. Gameplay effects. Components are defined how a gameplay effect behaves. Introduced in 5.3, there are very few calls from gameplay effect to gameplay effect component by design. Instead of providing a larger API, okay, live within a gameplay effect, which is typically a data-only blueprint. Thus, like gameplay effects, only one gameplay effect exists for all applied instances. One of the intuitive caveats of this is that gameplay effect component should not contain any runtime manipulated / instance data. Stored state for execution. One must take careful consideration about where to store any data and thus where it can be evaluated. Interesting. So what can we do in here? We can the gameplay effect be applied? On active gameplay effect added. On effect applied. Call when a gameplay effect is initially applied or stacked. Gameplay effects are applied in both cases. Let us know that the owning gameplay effect has been modified. Thus, apply any asset related changes to the owning gameplay effect. Any of its fields called when a gameplay effect is executed. Periodic effects execute every period and are also added to the container. One may think of this as periodically executing, and thus can only. So this is when we really care. So we could override this and possibly create a gameplay event inside on gameplay effects executed. Just rethinking my design and trying to figure out if it's the right path. I'm thinking So the idea was that we wanted to do an instantaneous toggle. I'm kind of curious, so I know, let's see. Before I do this, so I have an ability, right? That is our auto attack. Lots of crazy logic. It needs to be simplified. But if I replicate it, does it work? Oh, it's immediately canceled. There's some other issues going. So this is the auto attack has the timer that just ticks. And we set a timer based on attack speed. And really this should be from our, this is from the weapon immediately, but also not. And every time we tick, we attack, and we do this. And I wonder if this is all okay as long as we say that this should be happening on the server and not do this. So you can see our line of sight. Now we're in range. We have line of sight. We're building our, and it is being immediately canceled. And if I open up my Hearthstone ability, we do some. So the idea with gameplay abilities is that they're locally predicted. I should be able to execute them if I need to locally. This one, the auto attack, is uh, this can't be that challenging. I think I'm just needed to take a moment and come back to it. I think it's a little goofy. Yeah, I'm gonna take a moment and think through my design, and then I'll be back. So I think this idea makes sense to me. We want to toggle on and off something that can have state, its instance for the actor. How I want to handle what happens. To me, though, if the ability has state, which you can, right, if it's instant, then that means that it should just be able to stay. And so I should just be able to run a timer on the server. The server then executes something, a gameplay event. That gameplay event then toggles it. But because I'm hesitant to do that, because if abilities should only run in one frame, look at this though, passively blocking an attack every X number of seconds. So this isn't a ability that's instantaneously, or has state. Did this, maybe they implemented that. Some of these are, hmm. So they did one where they jump and they show you how to build an ability. What I was hoping is that they did the this one, passively blocking an attack every X number of seconds. But where did I read? All gameplay abilities will have the activate ability function overridden with your gameplay logic. Additional logic can be added to ended ability. This runs, completes, and cancel. Complex abilities can be implemented using multiple gameplay abilities that interact, activate, cancel with each other. Don't use this option. This name is misleading and you don't need it. So, interesting. If a gameplay ability performs all these actions in one atomic grouping in a frame, we can optimize this one. Gameplay abilities only execute in one frame. This does not allow for much flexibility on its own. To do actions that happen over time or require responding to delegates fired at some point later in time, we use latent actions called ability paths. Gas comes with many ability paths. Which one of the tasks is just waiting? So ability task constructor enforces a hard-coded game-wide maximum of 1,000 concurrent ability tasks running at the same time. Keep this in mind while designing game abilities. See, so if you have 1,000 people doing your auto attack, you run into this thing. Not that I will, but that seems kind of ridiculous. That's a really weird arbitrary limit. But I'm assuming that's for like replication reasons. Okay, well, I'm gonna take a look and figure this out, and then I'll be back.